بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسوله الكريم وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين وبعد السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم اللهم انفعنا بما علمتنا وعلمنا ما ينفعنا وزدنا علما وعملا بفضلك يا أرحم الراحمين آمين. I begin by praising Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the most merciful and the most high, and I send my peace and blessings and salutations upon our final messenger, Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. So the topic that's been chosen for today is something which many of us are not just familiar with, but we are in fact this is something which is almost inseparable from our daily lives. And as you would know, the topic is with regards to social media. And when we talk about social media, by the way, we're including everything here. We're including all of the platforms, all of the apps. And maybe there was a time where we could say that social media was just perhaps something linked to maybe the younger generation. We can no longer say that. We can no longer say that social media is just something which is linked to the younger generation, which is just linked to children, linked to teenagers, linked to students. No, because social media in fact is something which we are using, whether it's children, whether it's teenagers, whether it's people who go to university, the younger generation, the older generation, parents, grandparents, subhanAllah, everyone is using it. Why? Because everyone has access to these devices. Everyone has a mobile phone now. If you ask a child today, right, if they have a mobile phone, do you have a mobile phone? Do you have a mobile phone? Do you have a mobile phone? MashaAllah. Do you have a mobile phone? Yeah, you do? This is good actually, because most children do have mobile phones today. I mean, when I was well, not long ago, but you know, maybe going back about 10 years, that's when I was allowed a phone. So basically when I was 16 years old. When I went to college, that's when my father said, right, now you are allowed a phone because you're going to college. Even then he was still a bit hesitant, but he allowed me to have a phone. And obviously before that, you know, in my school days, I would see a lot of my friends, they had mobile phones, they had the latest phones, and I used to feel like, you know, why can't I have a phone? Like, why can't I have one? And my dad used to say, well, what do you need it for? I don't know, in case there's an emergency. Like, if there's an emergency, trust me, you can get through to me. Yeah, you can inform your teacher at school, you can inform somebody, right? It's not, there's no, you know, you don't need a smartphone for an emergency, right? So even then it was still quite, for me, growing up, that was really strict. It was very difficult for me to take that, like, I couldn't have a phone. So finally, when I went to college, I was given a mobile phone. Alhamdulillah, looking back now, though it's been 10 years, but looking back, I can most definitely see the benefits as to why my parents did that. Because had I had a phone prior to that, at a younger age, if I was exposed to all of these things younger, it would have affected me. Because it's already affecting so many of us. It's already affecting us as adults. It's already affecting us as mature individuals. So imagine the effect and impact that it's having on our children, on the younger generation, right? So you have to understand one thing, social media is a tool. It's a tool. It can be used for good, there is no doubt whatsoever. But also, of course, it can be used for bad. So we have to acknowledge that it is a tool. There's a lot of benefit, there's a lot of positives, there's a lot of good that comes out of it. In fact, subhanAllah, when it comes to even masjid centers like this, when it comes to da'wah, social media is a very powerful tool. There are many of you, in fact, I know so many people, had it not been for social media, of course, after the guidance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then they would not have come to the deen. They would not have had a close relationship with Allah. Why? Because they saw some video. They saw something which triggered, you know, they saw something which triggered their emotions. And they thought, subhanAllah, I need to change my life. I actually know an individual. He's right now, well, I spoke to him last year. And I asked him, how did you get to how did you get to where you are now, basically? MashaAllah, very amazing brother. And he said to me, you know what happened? He's, by the way, a qari of the Quran. He's a qari. Okay, he's a very proficient reciter. He gets called internationally to recite at events. Okay, so he's very well respected. So I asked him, how did you get to where you got to today? And he said to me that in his teenage years, in his early years, he used to be a music producer. He used to be a music producer. So he used to produce beats and, you know, instrumentals for artists, right? Big artists, rap artists, hip hop artists. He used to do this. And this was his life. He was consumed by music and he was producing for musicians across the world. Anyway, so he says one day he was scrolling on YouTube. And YouTube is, of course, a social media platform. You might not consider it to be one, but YouTube is one, Facebook is one, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, Tumblr, Medium, even WhatsApp. WhatsApp is a social media platform. So I know so many people, when I ask them, who here has social media? And the people, most people put their hands up. And the people that don't put their hand up, I say to them, what do you mean? Like, you don't have any social media? And they're like, no, I don't have Facebook, Twitter, nothing. So I said, do you have WhatsApp? They said, yeah, I've got WhatsApp. Of course I've got WhatsApp. I can't live without WhatsApp. So I said, khalas, that's a social media platform. WhatsApp is not some special app. It's a social media app, okay, right? Unless you've got a brick phone, your Nokias, where you have Snake, you're playing Snake, and you've got just the text message feature, then you can say, I don't have, or I don't use social media. Other than that, if you have a smartphone, you have social media, I'm pretty sure of it. If it's not WhatsApp, it's Telegram. If it's not Telegram, it's something. Okay, so pretty much we're all using it. Let's not be in denial here. All right. Now, anyway, so he was scrolling through YouTube and he came across a reminder video from a sheikh. Okay, a sheikh from Saudi. And he saw this video, it was in Arabic, and the video was about the Day of Judgment. And he watched this video. It was a very powerful video. He listened to the reminder, and after he had finished, he realized that, what on earth am I doing with my life? And this shook him, watching this reminder. So what did he do? He picked the phone up, he called his team, and he said, I quit. I quit everything. I quit music. I quit producing. I'm out. They said, what do you mean you're out? You're doing so well. How could you leave this industry? He said, no, forget it. I'm done. There's more important things in life. So what did he do? He used the talent that Allah had given him, because it was still a skill at the end of the day, right? I mean, he wasn't using it for the correct reasons, but he had a skill. So what did he do? He left all of it behind, left the music industry, and he started studying the Quran, and he used his voice and everything that Allah had gifted him with, and he began memorizing the Quran, and he began studying, and then he was traveling. He went to places like Kuwait, etc., and he became very proficient. He became a qari of the Quran, and Allah honored him to such a degree that even till today, alhamdulillah, he is being called to different countries to recite the Quran. What was it that, triggered that emotion inside of him? It was watching a simple video. And trust me, he's not the only person that I know. There are so many people, countless number of people that have the same feelings. They watched a video from a sheikh, they heard some reminder, something small was sent to them, a small hadith was sent to them via social media, and they changed everything around. So let's not forget that there are a lot of positives. There's a lot of good that comes from social media, a lot of da'wah, a lot of promotion of good, of khair is done. There's no doubt about this. But there is also, we have to, of course, balance it by saying there's a lot of negatives as well. And I don't like giving a lecture or a talk on negative things. It's not nice, right? So I will balance it. But I will mention a few things which are very important. Why? Awareness. Because again, even for some of you, even if you say, well, I don't really use social media as much, but guess what? Your children, your nephews, your nieces, they are. So you have to know these things, right? And sometimes on the dark side of things, of social media, there is a dark side, by the way, and things can get very, very messy on that side of things. Let me give you an example of this. When it comes to spreading the deen, right, which is very easy to do. And again, we can say it's a positive. A positive in what sense? That if you have never studied anything in your life, you don't even maybe, you yourself aren't comfortable reciting the Quran. You yourself maybe don't know much of the Arabic language. You yourself don't know much of the seerah. One thing we can say, no doubt, that in terms of access, you have so much on the internet. You have so much on social media today. You can go on YouTube. You will find the entire seerah there. no doubt. You will find the entire seerah from beginning to end uploaded on YouTube. You can watch the videos, you can benefit, yeah? You can read blog posts, you can read articles, fatwas, everything is online now. And to a degree we can say, mashallah, that is brilliant. So easy to access knowledge. You have no excuse living in London, to be honest with you. You don't have an excuse anyway, because alhamdulillah, you have masajid like this one. You don't really have an excuse, to be honest with you, because London is full of centers and masajid and madaris. So really, we don't have an excuse not to study. Yeah, where I was born, and the sheikh here, he's not here today. I just spoke to him earlier. Imam Fuad, he was temporarily the imam in my hometown of Exeter in Devon. So he was a few years back. He was the imam there for some time. That's where I know him from. So anyway, where I was born and raised in Exeter in Devon, especially going back maybe 15, 20 years ago, right? There was nothing. There was one small masjid, like a house, yeah? And I'm talking about not just in the city, in the whole county, in the whole of the surrounding areas, surrounding towns, surrounding cities, there was nothing, just one small house, small masjid, that's it. So when I was growing up, and when I wanted to study, I had nothing. There was literally nothing. It was just a masjid, 5 times daily prayers. The imam did what he could, and that was it. So I had to literally move from there to study. I had to move like 4 hours away from there. I had to move to Leicester. I studied in Leicester, and then I moved to London. That's why I'm in London. I've been in London for 7 years. There was nothing where I was, but alhamdulillah, you guys are so lucky you have this on your doorstep. You have so much on your doorstep, right? And surrounding areas. So there's no excuse. But let's just say now that there is a legitimate excuse. Let's say someone lives somewhere far away in an isolated town. The minimum we can say to them is, guess what? Social media is so powerful. You can pick up your phone, you can open up your laptop, and you can study the seerah. You can study tajweed. You can study Islamic history. You can study this and that. It's amazing. So on one hand, it's great. On the other hand, though, it can also be quite dangerous. Why? Let me give an example. Now imagine a person solely relies on the internet, on social media to study, and then they graduate from the University of Google. Then what's going to happen is, unfortunately, this is not how the deen spreads. This is not how knowledge was passed on to us, just through some engagement with some apps and videos. That's not how knowledge spreads, right? How does knowledge spread? Knowledge spreads through the guidance of teachers, the guidance of mashayikh. You have to go, you have to study. The scholars in the past, they had to travel, not just miles. They used to travel for days just to study one hadith. They used to travel from one country to the other just to study hadith, just to study the Quran. Now what happens is when it's at your fingertips, it becomes a dangerous game now, because you become so relaxed. Like, I don't need to study anymore. Why do I need to go and study under a sheikh? Why do I need to enroll at a madrasa? Why do I need to enroll at a university, at an institute? I've got everything that I need. So what happens? People solely rely on the internet, on social media, and then they become this kind of self-proclaimed shuyukh, self-proclaimed students of knowledge. This is a dangerous game. Why? Because there's no guidance. You just read one thing online, you watch one video online, and you've made your mind up. There's no guidance from anyone. You're not taking it from the books, you're not taking it from the source, you're not taking it from teachers. So when it comes to passing on information, spreading the deen, spreading knowledge, this can also be quite dangerous. Though it can be good, but it can also be quite dangerous. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Quran, in Surah Al-Hujurat, very clear verse, very famous verse, he says, يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا إِنْ جَاءَكُمْ فَاسِقٌ بِنَبَإٍ فَتَبَيَّنُوا. So he says that, he calls to the believers, and he says that, look, if a person comes to you and this person is unreliable with some information, with a piece of news, then Allah doesn't say just accept it. Just accept it, no problem. He says, فَتَبَيَّنُوا, that make sure you establish, you verify this information. أَن تُصِيبُوا قَوْمًا بِجَهَالَةٍ. Because if you don't, there's a chance you might be spreading ignorance. Not knowledge, not good, you might be spreading ignorance. Right? So, he ends the verse by saying, and you will become from those who regret. ultimately you're going to regret your actions, okay? And there is a specific context behind why this verse is revealed. It's actually speaking about a Sahabi, a companion, radiallahu anhu. Now, this is a companion. We're talking about in our day and age, subhanAllah, how easy it is to take your phone and just to spread something. Okay, you've come across, someone's sent you on WhatsApp perhaps, someone sent you a saying, a statement, a hadith. And you open it up and you say, okay, mashallah, yeah, this is very beneficial. I really benefited from this. What do you do straight away? Forward this to 100 contacts. Forward this to all of the groups that I'm on. The group with my aunties, the group with my friends, the group with my uncles. Nowadays we have 15 different groups for the same thing. We have groups nowadays with our family members, yeah? And people, they're in the same room and they're WhatsApping each other. Have you seen this before? I've seen this. Literally, they're in the same room, they're sitting next to each other on the sofa, and they're WhatsApping each other. Bro, can you get me a glass of water, please? And they respond, no. Emoji, angry face. This is the state that we're in now. There's no communication anymore. We're not communicating with each other. We're not being real with each other. What are we doing? We're communicating via the phone. That's the other, obviously, that's another negative of social media, right? Where we're not interacting with the real world. Youngsters nowadays, they're losing social skills. It's true. I'm not generalizing. I'm saying that there are a lot of youngsters in this generation, which is known as the millennial generation. They're losing these social skills, right? Kids nowadays, they don't go out to play. When I was growing up, when many of you were growing up, we used to go out to play. We used to go to the park. We used to play football. We used to chill out with our friends, right? Nowadays, kids want to stay at home. And they're playing with their friends. They're still playing with their friends. And their friend might be in Australia. They're still playing with them live on Xbox. SubhanAllah, that's what people are playing now. Or they're playing, I don't know, some live video game with them. They've joined teams with them. I don't know how these things work. Things are changing rapidly, right? Even I've lost touch. Imagine I'm saying that and I'm like just past mid-20s and I'm saying that, yeah? So there's that side of things as well. But what we're trying to say is, you start forwarding it to all of these people. What happens is, it's unverified. You don't even know. Perhaps it might be something good. It might be a hadith of the Prophet ﷺ. Yeah, it might be. But there is a danger behind it as well. What if it isn't? What if you're saying, yeah, what if it's a made up hadith, it's fabric? Do you know how many fabricated hadith we've come across before? It's unbelievable. And it's just been circulated like that. You know, there's some funny ones that I've come across in the past. There's one I get every year. Sometimes in Ramadan, sometimes in Rajab, I don't know, it changes every year. So I get it every year. It says, tonight is a blessed night because the moon is doing tawaf around the Kaaba 300 times, 360 times or something like that. I'm like, how does the moon do tawaf around the Kaaba? You don't even need to ask yourself, is this sahih or not? You just need to ask yourself, is this even you know, logical or not? How does that even make sense? So I get this every year, same message. All of these, and then people are attributing it to the Prophet ﷺ. Even worse. Okay, false information, false news is one thing. Fake news is one thing, which is all over the internet. Nowadays you can edit and Photoshop whatever you want. Whatever you want. Yeah, and people do this all the time. So what happens? Straight away, as soon as someone gets something, what do? They forward it on. That's the natural reaction now. The natural reaction is, if there's a disaster today, if there's a disaster, something absolutely horrific has taken place in front of us, our natural reaction is no longer to go and help this person. Our natural reaction is not to pick the phone up if we're going to use the phone and call 999. What's our natural reaction? Get the camera. Wow, look at what's happening, everyone. There's a guy, probably he's passed out and we're recording it. And then straight away, yeah, I'm coming, 1 second, let me just upload this on Twitter. Yeah, I was the first one to see this, bang, upload. That's our reaction today. Yeah? Again, this is the negatives. This is what's happened, where we're living in a world where everyone wants to go viral. People will do anything to get a few views. People will hurt each other just to get views. People will fake things, will make their parents cry. You know, they'll put a secret camera there and they'll have a conversation with their parents. Say to them, I did this, and the parents will start crying and say, oh no, I was just joking, it's a prank. You know, what is this? What kind of world are we living in? People going past, you know, hurting each other just to get a few views on videos. So this is all part of the negative side of things. So coming back to the spreading of knowledge, this is a very severe thing. Okay, it's something which we must be very careful of, verifying the information that we're getting. The Prophet ﷺ said very clearly in a hadith that "Man kadhaba alayya muta'ammidan falyatabawwa maq'adahu min an-nar," that whoever lies against me intentionally, then let this person settle their place in the hellfire. May Allah protect us. It's a very scary and it's a very stern warning, a hadith, right? But we're just easily attributing things to one another and attributing things to the Prophet ﷺ even worse, right? Ramadan is a perfect example. Beginning of Ramadan, moon sighting. Everyone wants to be the first person to announce the moon sighting. So even before it's even possible to sight the moon, the day before, the messages are going around. Right, it's been sighted, Eid is coming, Ramadan is coming, and everyone's forwarding it. And half an hour later you get a message, "Oh, sorry, it was too early. I need to check again, I'll let you know later." The amount of times people ask, why did you have to send it for? Just wait. Sabr, like Ramadan is not running away. If it's here, well, inshallah, we're going to fast tomorrow, don't worry. Eid is not running away, don't worry. Why do you need to be the first one for? Okay? And you know what? Let me also balance it and say that there's a lot of people that do these things, like, spreading hadith and spreading news, etc. They have good intentions. No one does it with the intention of, I want to spread the wrong information. No one really does it. I think there's a lot of people, mashallah, they're very passionate. They want to get reward. Their intention is, if I send this video, this hadith, then perhaps someone will benefit and I get some reward, and that's fine. That's a good intention. But all we're saying is that verify it, double check what it is, who it is that's saying it, what is it that they're saying. Understand it yourself first before you start spreading it, isn't it? It's very simple. If you haven't understood something yourself, then khalas, you just need to wait. There's no need to just spread these things, right? In particular, when it comes to the deen, just be careful who we're taking it from. Everyone today, subhanAllah, wants an opinion on the deen. Everyone has an opinion on Islam. Everyone has an opinion. Whether you're Muslim, whether you're non-Muslim, everyone wants to speak about Islam. Doesn't mean we take it from every single person, right? It's like a first-year medical student, 18-year-old, just finished college, just got into medical school, started at university, did a few lessons in medicine, the introductions. And then the next day, this girl makes a YouTube video about, I don't know, how to perform open heart surgery. You can try it at home yourself. I'm giving you, because I'm a student, or I'm a medical student. What are you going to say to this person? You're going to say, "Bro, sit down. What are you doing? What are you talking about open heart surgery for? You just started. Study a bit more, graduate, get some experience in the field. In 10 years' time, I'll see you then. Then I'll take some. I'm not going to go in and take advice from you now. But subhanAllah, when it comes to the deen, everyone's there. Everyone's at the top now. Studied a few things on the internet, and now everyone's making a video. Everyone's sharing things, right? We have to be very, very careful. So this is just one thing that we're talking about, right? Which is being careful when we're spreading things. So if you do get sent messages, if you do want to forward things, all you have to do is verify. You have your imams in the masjid. Just come and ask them, "Sheikh, is this, like, I came across this hadith, is it sahih? Is it okay? Is the meaning okay? Is this video alright? Like, is this information okay?" They can easily verify it for you. Then if you get the thumbs up, Bismillah, you can share it, no problem. You can get the reward, inshallah. But we just have to be careful what information we're sharing. Another thing that I wanted to speak about, very, very important, is in the younger generation, there is a downside of social media. What is it? Is on social media, everyone is living a life that they're not living. Everyone is living a life that they're not really living. What do I mean by that? You can say almost it's fake. It's almost what? Fake. And this is no exaggeration. Because you could have, for example, what day is it today? Saturday, right? So tomorrow's Sunday. Sunday is, for a lot of people, it's a lazy day. Not that it should be, but some people want to call it a lazy day. Fine, if that's your lazy day, fine. A person can sit in bed all day, yeah, but they can get up for 5 minutes and just quickly upload a few things on social media. They can take a picture of the park outside their house and say, "I'm going for a run right now, I'm going for a jog." They can take a picture of their trainers and say, "Alhamdulillah, I just finished my gym session." They can take a picture of some other person's food. Their friend probably took the picture, they're out, and they just quickly screenshot it. "Alhamdulillah, yeah, I'm out with my friends for a nice meal." So now they upload that, right? Now there's another few hundred people, they're watching this and they're like, "MashaAllah, wow, Muhammad is having so much fun today. It's Sunday, but he's gone to the gym, he went to the park, he went for a jog. Wow, he even went for a meal with his friends. Wow, man, Muhammad's living such an amazing life. I wish I could live the same life as him. Yeah, this is what happens. And wallahi, I'm not exaggerating. People actually do these things, yeah? Pictures, for example. These types of things is not, when we say it's a downside, it's not just a small downside. This has a huge effect on people. It has an effect on their mental health, on their well-being. It has an effect on their self-esteem. Do you know why? Because they see this and they start to think that they are worthless, that they themselves have miserable lives, and that everyone else is having an amazing life. This perception, this false, this fake perception is what is killing the souls of our young generation. So pictures, for example, a boy, a girl is scrolling and they find a picture of someone and they say, wow, look at this person. I mean, like, this person looks so nice. Their skin is flawless. There's nothing wrong with them. Look at me, you know, I'm ugly, I don't look good, people don't like me, but look at this person. And what happens? It hits their self-esteem, low self-esteem. Now they start thinking they're worthless. They start thinking they're nothing. They start thinking they're ugly. They start thinking this and that, right? They don't know, though, that the picture that they just saw, that picture that was uploaded, the person who took that picture, not only did they try to take that picture maybe 50, 60 times, they tried from angle like this, okay, get the best angle, make this face, that face, subhanAllah. Nowadays you have dog ears coming out as well, Allahu Akbar, right? You have everything now, okay, on Snapchat. Okay, and then this person take 50, 60 times, then they chose the best one from the 50, 60. Then not only did they choose the best picture, what did they do? They edited the picture. So even if they had a spot or something, they edited it, blur, you know, made it look nice, put a filter on, made it look perfect, then they pressed upload. So the person who's looking at it thinks, wow, this person is perfect. I'm nothing. It's all false, it's all fake. Even the celebrities, they have admitted in their interviews, right? So, certain celebrities, I won't say some of their names, but there's some celebrities that they are known for being models, etc. They have said in interviews, there's one particular celebrity who said that on average, she takes 1,000 pictures. 1,000 pictures, and she chooses the best picture from 1,000 different pictures. And then obviously her team will Photoshop, will edit certain things, will make her look better, and then they upload it. And then what is everyone saying in the comments? Oh, wow, you're amazing, you're perfect. It's all false. So what am I saying? Forget what they're doing, that's one thing. The person that's consuming this sort of content, it affects them, like I said, it affects their mental health. It affects their self-esteem, big time. Because they start thinking, what am I? You know, so because of this false perception, it really gets, so it leads to long-term problems, long-term issues, where kids grow up thinking that this is what value is, this is what beauty is. From a young age, 15, 16, they're already thinking about these things. They're already depressed about their looks, subhanAllah. They haven't even matured yet, and they're already thinking about their looks. They're already thinking about, oh, look at this person, they're going on this holiday, this person is getting married so early, this person got amazing results in their exams. It's affecting them. It's affecting them to such a degree, they have these very unrealistic expectations. Marriage is a big example of this, by the way. Marriage is a big example, because when you look online, you will see couples, a husband and wife, just as an example, and it looks like they have a perfect marriage. Why? Because they're uploading all the good things, or any other person uploading all the good things. So now another married person sees this on their phone, and they think, my marriage is nothing compared to this. What's wrong with me? Maybe there's something wrong with me. Maybe there's something wrong with my wife, with my husband. And then it starts getting to their head. They start thinking about it. It affects their self-esteem. It creates problems within their marriage. Why? Because they're comparing it to someone else's who is only uploading what? 2 seconds of their day. And what about the rest of the 23 hours and 59 minutes and the rest of it? What about the rest of it? They don't know what's happening. There's actually a lot of problems in that marriage. So all of these things, it affects people big time. So what I'm saying is that we shouldn't, it's natural for us when we see something as human beings, when you see something nice, your heart gets attached to it. You see wealth, you see someone living a lavish lifestyle, naturally you desire that thing. Okay, that's fine. But then to become, this is where we're talking about addiction here. You become so addicted, right? Following someone is one thing, yeah? You following someone on their page, you're following their videos. But then following them that you want to become like them, that's where you're addicted now. You have to just stop there for a second. Okay, I want to stay updated with, I don't know, I'm following a football player. I'm following a sheikh online. Okay, no problem. You just check, okay, mashallah, cool, nice. But then the moment you're obsessed, you're checking everything, you're zooming in, and you're checking the comments, you're like, oh, I wish I could be like this person. Why didn't Allah make me like this for? This is where now you're becoming obsessed, you're becoming addicted, and this is not good. It's not good for your well-being, it's not good for you mentally, nor is it good for you spiritually. This will kill you. And the example I always give is the example of Qarun. The example of Qarun. He's from the time of Prophet Musa alayhi salam. So we all know Prophet Musa alayhi salam, right? And he had a man from his own people. Some say it was his own relative, Qarun. He was actually one of the richest people of his time. Why? Because he was making money the wrong way. He was actually getting money from Fir'aun, the same man who was oppressing these people. He was getting money from him. And he had so much money, Allah talks about it in Surah Al-Qasas. He says that we gave Qarun so much money. آتَيْنَاهُ مِنَ الْكُنُوزِ مَا إِنَّ مَفَاتِحَهُ لَتَنُوءُ بِالْعُصْبَةِ أُولِي الْقُوَّةِ. That he had so much treasures, not just treasure, singular. He had treasures, plural. He had so much treasures, so much gold and silver and wealth, that it required a large group of men to carry, not his treasures, to carry just the keys to his treasures. Imagine that. A large group of men. Imagine you see a group of men walking, they're carrying keys. And you're thinking, why are these men carrying keys for? And they say to you, yeah, because all of these keys, they're to open up the treasures. So if that was how many keys he had to his treasures, imagine how much treasure Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave him. And his people, they realized that the more wealth Qarun was making, the more arrogant he was getting. This is what happens, isn't it? Sometimes, you have more money than someone else. You have a better job than someone else. You have better results than someone else. You have more followers than someone else on social media. So what do? You start thinking, yeah, I'm better than you. Who are you? You're nobody. No one knows who you are. You've got a rubbish job. Look what I have. You start getting arrogant. You start treating people differently. This is what Qarun started doing. His people said, Qarun, stop doing this. La tafrah. Stop getting so boastful. Inna Allah la yuhibbul farihin. Allah doesn't like people that do this kind of thing. He got more and more arrogant. He got so arrogant, he started saying, what do you mean Allah gave me these things? Allah didn't give me this. He said, it was all because of my own hard work, my own efforts. That's why I have what I have today. He became so arrogant that he even forgot Allah. He stopped attributing his success to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And obviously Allah is going to teach him a lesson. But I want to tell you what the people around him, and we're talking about here even the believers, the Muslims, they saw Qarun. فَخَرَجَ عَلَىٰ قَوْمِهِ فِي زِينَتِهِ. One day he came out. And when Qarun comes out, it's like, for example, I don't know what the equivalent is today, but the queen is outside, she's driving, and what will happen? The queen won't be by herself. She'll have she'll be in a particular type of car, bulletproof car. She'll have guards. There'll be another 10, 11 cars behind her. There'll be police escorting her. You will know that the queen is here on high road, yeah? You will know it. It's not just going to be normal car driving. Now, imagine when Qarun used to come out, people knew it was Qarun. Why? Because he had an entourage behind him. And it wasn't an entourage of 2-3 guys, entourage of minimum 100 people behind him. And he would wear his gold chains, he would have the treasures by him, he would have the best, not car obviously because they didn't have cars then, but he would have the best form of transportation. And when he walked and his perfume and everything, people saw him, wow. So what started happening? That those people, they saw Qarun and they used to say, Ya layta lana mithla ma utiya Qarun. How we wish we had what Qarun had. We wish we had the life that Qarun had, the wealth that he had, the status. They looked at this, they were so impressed by it, they started saying this. And what did the people of knowledge say? The people of knowledge, they said, وَيْلَكُمْ ثَوَابُ اللَّهِ خَيْرٌ لِمَنْ آمَنَ وَعَمِلَ صَالِحًا. They said, what's wrong with you guys? Why are you guys getting so impressed by this guy for? There's nothing special. Yeah, he's got a bit of money and stuff. They said, the thawab, the reward of Allah is much better for the people who do good and for the people who do righteous deeds. Don't get so impressed by this. When Allah gives you something, when Allah rewards you, when Allah recompenses you, it might not be in this life, but in the next life for sure, that is going to be much better than even the treasures of Qarun. They didn't realize. When did they realize? Allah, at the end of this passage, He summarizes what happened to Qarun. He says that فَخَسَفْنَا بِهِ وَبِدَارِهِ الْأَرْضِ, that Qarun became so arrogant. He thought he was so special. He thought that he was above Allah. Allah says, we made the earth open up. Imagine the earth that he's walking on, open up and swallowed Qarun. The earth swallowed him. This was his punishment. Not only did the earth swallow him, but the earth also swallowed his dar. The mansion that he used to live in, the same mansion that people used to walk past and say, wow, look at the mansion of Qarun. Allah caused the earth to swallow that up as well. Then the earth came back together. Just like that, what happened to Qarun? Overnight, everything that he had, treasures, wealth, mansion, his clothing, status, gone, disappeared. Then the next day, when the people saw this, then they said, subhanAllah, now we realize how foolish we were to think that this is anything special. Why? Because wealth, status, appearance, looks, right, jobs, these things all come to an end. One day, your looks will come to an end. Your followers will come to an end. All of these things, they're not that important if you think about it. They will all come to an end. But what will remain is the good that you did in this life. So to tie it in with social media, we do this on a daily basis. We have people like, not like Qarun, but people who have that status, people who have that amount of wealth, people who have all of that nice lifestyle, lavish lifestyle. And what do? We say the same words. We say, we wish we had this. I wish I had that life. I wish I had this status. We wish. And then what happens? Something happens to that person and we say, oh, that's it. I mean, the person dies, for example. The person falls ill and everything's gone. The person goes bankrupt the next day. Everything's gone. The person gets involved in some scandal and gets exposed. And that's it. Their status is gone. Everyone is one day praising them, the next day swearing at them, cursing them. This is how life is. It's all temporary. But what will last is your deeds. What will last is the way you've impacted people, the way you interact with people. Social media, like I said, is a good tool. It's a tool. It can be used for good, but it also can be used for bad as well. A lot of bad, and I've mentioned many of the negatives. When we use social media, what we should do is, like with anything in our lives, we should be moderate. Be moderate in what you do. So when it comes to even social media, we cannot be addicted to it. How do you know you're addicted to it? Like if tomorrow Mark Zuckerberg announced Facebook is finished, he's closed it down, and if it really hurts you, you're almost crying, you're in tears. No, how could he delete Facebook? I need this, I had all my following on there, everything. If that is the case, then you know that you're quite addicted to social media, right? Or if your phone goes, khalas, that's it, that's the end of your life, you think, I'm done, right? This is how you know. Or if you're using it, all you have to do is just check the amount that you're using social media. Nowadays it's very easy, especially if you have Apple phone. You can check your screen usage. You can monitor your screen usage. For most people, I asked someone today, because I knew I was coming to this talk, and they saw the poster and they said, oh, good topic. And I said to them, just out of interest, do you mind, funnily enough, I was using WhatsApp, to interact with them. So I'm using social media. Anyway, so I said to them, just out of interest, do you mind just checking for me what's your daily average usage of your phone, social media apps, etc. They checked it and they messaged me and they said, they were shocked. They said, do you know how much it is? I said, 5 hours a day I'm using it. That's my average. And this person doesn't have Facebook or Instagram. They don't have these big ones. They're just using what? WhatsApp, Twitter, you know, things like that. And 5 hours. What's 24 take away 5?
19.
19. Is it 19? Okay. Good maths. Right. You got 19 hours in your day left. You've just 5 hours are gone. You sleep for 8-9 hours. You've got 10 hours left. You go to work or you go to school, college, another 8 hours. You've got 2 hours left of your day. Just put it like that. You eat, you get ready. That's another hour gone. You've got an hour left in your day. What do you do in that hour? Ask yourself. What else do you do in that hour? Yeah? You pray salah. Pray salah. Just about get your salah done. Maybe go to the masjid, something. You have literally 1 or 2 hours left in the day. But how much time could you have had left over? 6-7 hours you could have at least had with your sleep, with your everything else. You go to work, everything. You could have had another 6 hours of your day left, but 5 hours went where? On social media. This is one person I asked. The more people you ask, you'll be shocked. 3 hours, 4 hours, some people 6-7 hours using it non-stop. Trust me, just have a look at it. Even when I check myself, I'm shocked. So now I had to, and by the way, with addictions, you can be addicted to different things. Some of you are addicted to maybe gaming. You just play games all day. Might not be phones, you just play games all day. Others might be addicted to watching TV, Netflix, YouTube. Okay. Others are addicted to what? Fast food. You just want to eat fast food all the time. Others are addicted to, I don't know, pan, you know, whatever, right? People are addicted, like they can't live without it. Yeah, I have family members like that. They have to have 4, 5, 6, 7 a day, you know. Just like addiction. Everyone has an addiction somewhere, right? Everyone has some sort of addiction. Addiction is a whole separate subject. How do you break an addiction? But in order to break the addiction, you need to realize you have it in the first place, isn't it? Most people don't even know they're addicted to something. They don't know. They just think, oh, it's just normal, like I'm just using my phone. They don't realize that when they give themselves a reality check or someone else gives them a reality, then they realize, whoa, I'm going crazy here. Right? So I had to do that to give myself a reality check. So now there's easy ways of managing yourself. For example, on Instagram, there's an option in the settings. It can give you a reminder. You can put a limit, a time limit every day on Instagram. 15 minutes, 30 minutes. So the moment you've used Instagram for 30 minutes in a day, a reminder comes on your phone, a notification comes up and says, you have used Instagram for 30 minutes today. So you can either press OK, ignore, or you can say, okay, khalas, I'm done for Instagram today, and you log out. Okay, similarly, like I said, with your screen usage monitoring, you have apps for that as well. Or you can just ask yourself, do I really need it right now? I used to use Snapchat a lot before. I didn't actually used to use it, I just used to have it because everyone else had it. So 5 years ago, 6 years ago, I downloaded it because everyone was using it. So I just thought, okay, let me get Snapchat. And I started realizing that it's not, what is Snapchat? The stats are, by the way, that on average, you know, between the age of like, I don't know, the teenage years to mid-20s, that demographic, on average, the younger generation, they use Snapchat for, I think, on average 31 minutes a day. They use Snapchat. This is the average, like the national average. 31 minutes of your day just gone doing what? What is Snapchat? What has this person eaten for breakfast? What has this person done today? What time did this person go to work? You know, that's it. That's all Snapchat. You're just looking at people's lives, just stalking people basically. Yeah, that's all Snapchat is. So I said to myself, okay, out of all of the apps, which one's really benefiting me? Snapchat, really? I mean, what am I getting out of it? Nothing. All I'm doing is just seeing this person's random, this person's this person's life thing. It's not benefiting me. At least on other apps, I can get some benefit from it. So I just deleted Snapchat. It was a big thing for me because all my friends are still using it. I said, no, I'm done with Snapchat. I've deleted it. Right? That's a good start for me. It's like, okay, alhamdulillah, one off the list. There's one because now there's all these other ones coming out. TikTok. The new one, TikTok. What on earth is that? It's like some new one every single day, right? Anyway, so in order to break the addiction, you need to know what it is. And there's so many ways that you can check yourself as well. All of this, by the way, the reason why I've spoken about all of this is, yes, there are negatives. these things, they do affect people spiritually as well, because you're not giving enough time to your connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You're not even giving time to your own parents. You're not even giving time to your own family members. Why? Because you're so deep into this realm of social media that you don't know what's happening around you. So it's very important to check ourselves. The final thing that I will say is, of course, as Muslims we're taught to be optimistic, not pessimistic, right? So even with media, there's so much khair that we can do, by the way, with social media as well. So I don't need to walk away thinking, okay, you know, basically I use social media, I don't know what to do now. There's actually a lot of good that you can do. And if you think about the way that Muslims are being portrayed in the media today, we all complain about it. We always say, why are Muslims being portrayed like this? Why are Muslims being targeted in the media for? So the time has come now to stop complaining. What's the point complaining? Is there anything going to change complaining? Nothing's going to change. So rather, instead of being just reactive all the time, just reacting to things, right? Now it's time to be, productive. So what can we do? Okay, fine. If the media are saying bad things about the Muslims, I'm going to create my own media. I'm going to create my own media channel and page. Do you know how easy it is? You don't need your own TV channel, you just need a social media page. I'm going to put positive things about Muslims. It's as simple as that. It's literally as simple as that. If we get together and if we just think forward slightly, then trust me, we can get a lot done as Muslims. Instead of just saying, this is what's happening, this is the problem, we can get together and do things. If we have this tool in front of us, then why don't we use it to the best of our abilities? Alhamdulillah, within the Muslim community now, we have wealth, we have resources, we have talent, we have skills, we have Muslims in almost every field, from medicine to scholarship to academia. Alhamdulillah, Muslims are flourishing in this country. There are more than, I think last I checked, 3.3 million Muslims in this country alone. Do you know how much khair we can do and that we can bring? And using social media, using these tools is the way forward. I believe that. I believe that's the way forward. You can no longer communicate the way we used to. Actually, you have to use social media today. That's what I would even argue. But use it in the best possible way. Don't use it where it's affecting your own faith, affecting your own spirituality, where it's affecting your own mental health. Don't let it do that. Don't let it do that. Rather, we should never own. We should own something. Like you can own wealth, but just don't ever let wealth own you. You can have a social media account, just don't let the social media account have you. So we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to grant us steadfastness. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give us all the best in this life and the best in the hereafter. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give us a deep understanding. Wa akhiru da'wana alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Jazakumullah khairan. By the way, there's so much more I could go on for, but obviously it's a Saturday evening, and I appreciate the Masjid al-Ansar coming together for organizing this and for the invitation, and for all of you staying behind after Salat al-Isha. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward you and bless you all. So we will end here inshallah, but if you did have any questions or even any comments, then feel free inshallah. Oh, plug. Any questions? No, it's a good point though. What Brother Muhammad is saying, I know Brother Muhammad very well. He's saying to promote Ilm Feed. Ilm Feed is a page which is promoting the positive stories about Muslims. So positive news articles and videos about Muslims. So it's actually something that I'm a part of as well. It's not my thing, but it's something I get involved with. But it's actually amazing. So things like Ilm Feed, things like Islam 21C, things like, I don't know, what else is there out there? There's so many things, right? They are using social media and the tools that they have to spread goodness, to spread knowledge, to spread positive things about Muslims. So we need more of this. It's not enough just to have one or two things. Yeah.
Can you give us a list of techniques to limit the use of the screen, especially with the little kiddies?
Yeah. So there's a couple of things that I can mention. So firstly, for ourselves, number one, like I said, the first thing is that we need to realize that we are addicted and that we are using it. So firstly, just check yourself and monitor yourself how long you're using these things for, and that is your starting point. Then secondly, once you've realized, okay, I'm using it even, let's just say, for 2-3 hours a day, then what you need to start doing is start listing in general, okay, what is it that I'm using the most? Is it WhatsApp? Is it Facebook? Is it Twitter? Is it YouTube? Because YouTube is a big one. You watch one video, then there's a recommended video comes up, you click on that one, it takes you to the, and then you end up from one thing to the next thing. That's what happens on YouTube. 2-3 hours go, just like that. So you have to ask yourself, which one is it? Then you start filtering it out. So you start saying, right, that's it. Now I know it's YouTube, I'm going to stop, or I will limit myself on a certain app, etc., etc., right? Those are a few things that you can do just for yourself. When it comes to the kids, okay, and this is just the norm in every household. It's not just one or two, it's the norm everywhere you go, which is that obviously kids are now, this is the only way to get a kid to behave, basically. Is just like, if you want the kid to eat food, here you go. Just watch videos, listen to this, listen to that, right? So now I've seen it with my own nephews, nieces, with my own cousins, etc. I see them. Now that kid cannot live without that phone, with those videos. The kid cannot eat, as in it's become part of their psychology that food means screen. That's the way they're being raised. So what's going to happen is, again, like I mentioned, this is going to affect them. This is going to affect even their social skills. It's going to affect their communication skills. It's going to affect them spiritually as well. So we need to go old school again, isn't it? Right? Old school. How kids like 20, 30 years ago raised, they didn't have these gadgets and devices. So we just have to somehow manage without it. And then I would also say with the parents here as well, do what even my own parents did, which is that don't give access to kids until a certain age. And if you do, then make sure it's monitored and restricted. Weekends only, for example. I know a lot of parents that do this. They have this weekend only rule, which is one of my teachers mentioned this actually. Yeah, weekend only rule, which is that Monday to Friday, school, madrasa, you focus. If you did well throughout the week, okay, Friday evening to Sunday evening, you can play games and you can use my phone, you can use the internet, of course with restrictions, but you can do that. So that is also an effective model. So that way we're not, because remember, like I said, you're not going to, if you take it away from them, yeah, I mean, it's so easy to get access. The kids will be rebellious and they'll get hold of it. So we need to be balanced as well. We need to give them, because it's just the way life is now, but not to another extreme. So there's ways of restricting it. And then just in general, the easiest one and the one we overlook is just keeping busy, keeping active. Most people that have an addiction, they only do that thing, they're forced into that habit. Why? Because they're alone most of the time. They're alone and they're not doing much. They're sitting in their room. What else do you expect them to do? I mean, especially with kids, are you really going to expect them to open up a book and read for 6 hours? It doesn't work like that. Yeah? Kids don't do that. I'm sorry. And no kid does that now. So what do you expect them to do if they're alone, if they're not doing anything? They're going to pick the phone up. They're going to watch the TV. They're going to open the laptop. They're going to get the tablet. That is how it is now. So sometimes just staying active, even ourselves, just staying active and busy is a huge step. If you're busy throughout the day, you don't have time to check Facebook and Twitter. You don't have time to message people because you're constantly doing things. You're going to a youth club. You sent your child to a youth club. You sent your child, let them play outside, let them go for football, let them do activities, right? Keep them busy. They won't even think about gadgets and social media. So that is, I think, the most practical tip of this whole session, and this is not just for kids, for ourselves, is just keep yourself busy. Keep yourself active, spiritually, mentally, physically. Be active, and you won't need to resort to social media and the phones as much. Wallahu a'lam. Anything else from anyone? Any comments or questions, inshallah, before we wrap up? Barakallahu feekum. We'll end here, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.